In today's video, I beat the Liberty Falls Easter egg for the very first time, except there's a slight issue. The original game audio ended up being corrupted after I wrapped up the recording, so instead of a normal playthrough, today's video is going to be a voiceover, so let's dive straight in. First up, I went over to the Gobblegum machine and I grabbed myself a cheeky perkaholic just so I can save myself a whole bunch of points. After that, I made my way over to the flower shop so I can grab the valve for the jet gun. I then made my way over to the cemetery so I could kill this guy and grab his key. While I was there, we opened up the church and then started up the generator so we can go into the dark ether, which basically starts the main Easter egg. I then made my way over to the shed so I can grab the handle for the jet gun, and then I made my way over to Liberty Lane so I can get the pressure gauge, which is going to be the second part to the jet gun. Next up was the wires for the jet gun, so I had to save up enough scrap for me to go ahead and buy the mangler's arm. And while I was doing this, I decided to go around and grab the codes from each location, which is going to be in the bank vault, Liberty Lanes, and of course inside the comic book shop, so that way I could go ahead and of course open up the bank vault. I then had enough scrap, so I went ahead and built the mangler's arm and made my way over to the electronics store, where I then blew open the door and opened up the scrap to grab the last piece to the jet gun, which is of course the wires. I then built the jet gun, and now it's time to make our way over to the comic book store because now we need to grab the parts to the LTG device. After grabbing the first part, I then made my way to on top of the truck by Speed Cola and grabbed the part inside the window, and then I made my way back over to the church so I can go ahead and grab the third and final part. I then made my way over to the roof of the bank, and this is where we built the LTG device. And just before we move on to the next step, I decided to go ahead and pack a punch to tier 1. I then made my way over to this dark ether portal thing here. I placed it down and of course protect it for 30 seconds. As soon as that was done, our first HVT spawned in, which was the mangler, but unfortunately he died the first time around, so we had to do it again. We got it done the second time around, and then we took the dark ether energy back to the church and put it inside the generator. At this point there were so many zombies spawning in, it was actually kind of crazy for round 14. I went back to the first location to pick up that device, and then we made our way over to the cemetery so we can do the second part. After that was done, I went back to the church and I picked up the Strauss device, and then I made my way over to each of the different locations so I could input the code. For me, luckily on every single location they were all yellow, so it was actually pretty straightforward, which was nice for a change. I was then able to pick up the second canister from this machine right here, and then we killed our second HVT, which this time around was actually an abomination. We killed him and collected the dark ether energy, and then we took it back to the church and placed it back into this machine. Now at this point I was fully aware that it was going to be boss fight time, but me and my teammates still had a few things we wanted to get done before we jump into the actual boss fight. After about 7 rounds we were finally ready to do this boss fight, and I strongly recommend to use the ASG shotgun. This thing is so overpowered, it's actually crazy. Just make sure it's legendary tier and you get it to tier 3 pack-a-punch, and also don't forget to put on blast furnace because that thing there, it just melts the zombies and the manglers completely. And all I did during the boss fight was every so often I would pull out the jet gun and use the special ability to pretty much wipe out all of the zombies. As soon as we did that, then I would just lay into the HVTs, which of course is the mangler and the abomination. And yeah, this boss fight isn't exactly too hard, it's simply just killing zombies. It's not based on a time limit or anything, it's just kill enough zombies until you do enough damage or collect enough souls, there's something like that. And then eventually you will instantly go down, it's just the way it goes in this boss fight. And then you'll get to see this cutscene, which luckily I do have the video footage for this one. The audio did not corrupt on this part, which is kind of good in a way.
Any station this net, what is your status? Hurt them, I swear.
No interruptions for this next part.
Thank you, my friend, for volunteering to take my place here. Or, in your parlance, thank you for being voluntold. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a few scores to settle. Bye-bye, Dark Ether.
After the cutscene had finished, you'll get this message saying if you want to continue your game or if you want to quit. We decided to stay in the game, and luckily we did because the amount of loot that we got rewarded afterwards was insane. There is a whole ton of legendary tier weapons that drop on the floor, including the ray gun, and you even get 2 flawless Ethereum crystals, which will pack-a-punch your current weapon to tier 3 instantly. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please smash that like button, comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel if you are new. And like always, I'll see you guys in the next one.